goal is to have a good quality over quantity experience. We want to really meet well and serve the pilgrims well. We have a big feast, a special dinner that we share together, and then we go through and share the gospel using some picture cards, and then we invite them we ask them who has the Apostle James followed, because this whole trail is based on the Apostle James going before us, and no one else is asking that question on the trail, you know. Most people are on a search for something while they're on the trail, and they're open spiritually. And so during that dinner and after dinner and during that time where they pick out the picture cards to answer where they're at on their spiritual journey, we'll finish that by saying, do you guys know who the Apostle James followed? And most of them don't know, because they won't hear it anywhere else along the trail. No one else is asking them that. And so we will say, well, he actually was following Jesus, and we are followers of Jesus. And without Jesus, this house and this trail, this Camino would not exist. And so that's a neat thing that we can ask them. And then we, at the end, invite them to consider, would you consider following Jesus? And then we would share the gospel that way. And so it's a very relevant way of transitioning from Apostle James to the gospel. People here in Galicia have a rough life. They live by agriculture and farming, or by dairy. And so the average family would have maybe 4 or 5 cows, and maybe a couple pigs if you're lucky. And so Maria and Rigo, who live in this house, had about that many cows in the back. And the winters are harsh here, so they would live in the upper part where the windows are. And in the cold winters, the cattle would go in this bottom part through that door, and they would keep them inside to take advantage of the heat that they would provide to warm up the upper part. They were just that poor, and life is that hard here. So you could just look at their hands, and it's a story in itself. Just the callous hands and the rough hands of everyone in here has worked the land and worked the cattle. And since then, they both have medical injuries, and so Maria's had a stroke last year, and her son has a bad back and bad legs, so they actually have sold all of their cattle, and the government has come in and helped replace some of their house, which has been really helpful. And Rigo would typically, her son, they don't have much hope here of a life, and so he actually would be drinking most of the day. And it would be very common, because it gets warm in the summertime, they would come out here and lay in our field here and just lay on the grass and both just sleep on the floor just for hours during the day. And up until last year they would do that. And now Maria goes to a day center to get help, and Rigo stays inside and does some chores, and we try to help them out as much as we can. So we've known them forever. Maria is kind of the old lady of the pueblo, and everyone knows her, and they call her Maruja, which is a name for an old Spanish lady from this area in Galicia. So everyone knows Maruja, and she's loved by all, and they've been great neighbors. So right now we have our girls helping her get ready. So in the morning at 9:30, they're going and helping Maria get dressed, and then at 9:45 or 10, a car comes and they take her to a day center, and she stays there all day, and at 6 or 6:30 she comes back. And you can imagine she isn't able to do much herself, and her son can't help her out at all. So I don't know how they manage when we're not here. Maybe some neighbors come in and help her, but the other day she was on the floor in the bathroom, and fortunately she's smaller, but her son was trying to by himself lift her up off the floor to dress her, to get her ready. I don't know how he can do that with her completely not able to help and his bad back and legs. So we try to help out as much as we can, all the neighbors, and show that we care, and we're not just here as a group's coming and going, but we really want to love on our neighbors well. And so
my name is Heather Litchfield, and I joined staff with crew almost about 19 years ago. Agape is the Spanish version of Cru, and they own this house here on the Camino, and so we've had the pleasure of partnering with them over the last 2 weeks. So we brought a group of students, 12 of them, here to Spain, where we began the Camino hike. It's a true pilgrimage with people from all over the world, and it's outdoors, and it is definitely requires some perseverance and tenacity, and so it was a great opportunity to bring students from across universities in the U.S. and to begin in Ocebrero and do 100 miles, the last 100 miles of the Camino hike over to Santiago. And so we did that this past week, which was it was a joy. It was tiring, but it was a fantastic celebration when we entered into Santiago, and it was a really great opportunity to just commune with the Lord and to be reminded of what's most important in life, and to realize that life in the end is pretty simple, you know, and it's a great opportunity to walk with God in a physical sense, you know, even as you do so spiritually. So that's been fantastic. And now we're here this week working at the Camino House and serving other pilgrims along the way, and that too has been just a really unique experience. There are about 600 pilgrims that come through this time of year every single day, and we have met people from over 40 different countries and had opportunities to love them with the love of Christ, to serve them hot drinks, and give them some shelter from a rainy day like this, and but also to have just some really great spiritual conversations. It's been excellent to ask people, you know, why are you here, and what have you learned, and what's brought you on the Camino, and you know, one of the main questions I think that we've been asking too is okay, you're on this hike to Santiago, right, where St. James hiked, and who did he follow? And I think, you know, that's been a great question to ask. A lot of people come on this hike and don't realize, oh, he followed Christ, and so this Camino wouldn't even exist if not for Christ himself. And so that has been a good segue too into some deeper spiritual conversations. And every night we have 7 or 8 people here at the house who spend the night, and we serve them a hot meal, a fantastic meal, and they have terrific bedding in this 400-year-old house, and it's a great place, a great community. We show the Jesus film at 5 o'clock, and it's always shocking to people when we open the doors of the cabinet and there's this huge flat screen TV, and they can hear the whole Jesus story in their own language, which is pretty exciting. We serve popcorn, which is also exciting. It was a big shock when we come out with that bowl. And we have a time of reflection at 4:30 where we pray for the pilgrims who were here the night before, and each pilgrim's encouraged to write a message for the pilgrims who are coming after them, just a story about their life or a prayer request, any needs that they have, so that we can think of those who have gone before us and just be even more connected and demonstrate love in that way. But there's great community around here, you know. We had 3 French women last night, someone from Argentina, Marco. We had 2 people from Germany. We had an Italian woman. It was just fantastic to sit around the table and have conversations in all these different languages and try to communicate and laugh our way through all of that. And every single person who left this morning, you know, left with huge hugs, with wanting to take pictures of the whole group, and just really, really grateful, really experienced the love of Christ. We even had some women come and they said, you know, we want to stay here because we sense something totally different in this albergue than in any other. And so I think it really speaks to the heart of those who are coming through. So that's why we're here.
Hi, my name is Taylor O'Neill, and yeah, I have a relationship with the Fuente del Peregrino because my parents helped founded it. They were full-time staff in Spain, and in, I think it was 1997, they decided to take me and my little brother and do the Camino, and they loved it. And then my dad had a vision of opening up a albergue or a hostel on the Camino to serve the pilgrims and give them a hot meal at night, and just be able to hear their stories and get to know them and share the gospel and just really to serve and to love them. So he came back a year later and looked for a house to buy, and they found this one, and then they fixed it up for a while and opened it up, I think 17 years ago, and it's been running ever since. And so every summer we would come out and help run the Camino, and I would serve the pilgrims coffee and tea with my siblings, and it was amazing. My dad started taking students on the Camino, and they'd take Spanish students and American students, and they'd walk from Ocebreiro to Santiago, and the projects have, on the American side, kind of faded. There's still been some projects run through the European crew, Agape, but I'm on a mission project right now with Lifelines, the outdoor ministry of Crew, and we came here for 3 weeks to Spain, and the first week we walked from Ocebreiro to Santiago. I think it's about 150 miles, and it was amazing. The weather was great. It was hard. My feet hurt a lot, but it was an amazing experience to get to know all the people on my team. And then the next week we're here in Ligonde, Spain, a small little rural village. There's only, I think, 30 houses in the whole town, and we're working at La Fuente del Peregrino, the pilgrim's fountain, in literal translation, and we are serving at the house. So, serving at the house, I guess I'll give you a daily schedule. In the mornings we wake up and we make breakfast and we have our devotional, and then everyone has their chores, and we make the beds, we clean the house, we do the dishes, we sweep, and then we open up the house and we start serving pilgrims coffee and tea that are walking along the Camino, along the way, and they pass right by us. And so our goal is to invite them in and talk to them and try to get to know them. And there's also stamps that we hand out, and we just really try to engage in conversation with them and get to hear their story, and we try to engage with them in a spiritual conversation, and ultimately point it back to Jesus. And so around 1 o'clock we start inviting the pilgrims to spend the night with us in the house, and we have 7 beds at the moment. We used to house more, but now we've reduced the number so we can have a more intimate conversation with the pilgrim. We have 7 pilgrims a night, and we do a time of reflection around 4, and that consists of looking at notes and prayers that other pilgrims that have stayed with us previously have written, and we read them and we think about them or we pray about them, and then we write our own. And then we also read Psalm 121, which King David wrote, and each pilgrim gets to read it in their own native language. So last night we had 6 languages represented around the table, which was really special to hear everyone read it in their own language. And then around 7 we have, and then at 5 we show the Jesus film, and we hand out popcorn, and they love the popcorn. And at 7 we have dinner, and we serve them a hot meal, usually salad and bread, and then entree, and then a dessert. And dinner is probably my favorite part, because we just we're just sitting around and getting to know each other and getting to know why they're doing the Camino. A lot of people are doing it for health reasons. They want to, or a sense of adventure, or they're doing it in remembrance of a friend that has passed. What else? Yeah, some people just don't know what to do with their lives, so they're like, I have some time, so I'm going to go walk the Camino. And then there are other people who are walking it for spiritual reasons. They're trying to find answers and try to find the answer. What is life? What's the reason? What is my purpose in life? Who do I believe in? And why am I here on this earth? So those are my favorite conversations because it's an opportunity for us to come in and share about Jesus and who Jesus was, and why we follow him, and what awesome transformations and things that he's done in our lives. So after dinner, after dessert, we play a game called Solarium. It's a picture game where we lay out all these cards on the table and they all have pictures, and we ask 3 questions. The first question was, what was your life like before you came on the Camino? The second question is, what is your spirituality like? Or what is a picture that represents your spirituality? And then the third question is, what is a lesson or what is an important thing you're going to take back home with you after finishing the Camino? And and then after all that, we thank them for coming, and we ask them the question, who did Santiago follow? Who did St. James follow? Because we're all on this road, we're all on this path, this journey to Santiago, and St. James was an apostle of Jesus, and so we present kind of an interesting twist, interesting question that they're not going to hear in other places in the Camino. And St. James, Santiago, actually followed Jesus. So we present that to them, and we tell them that the Camino, the way of St. James, wouldn't exist if Jesus didn't exist, because St. James would have never followed Jesus. And then we just tell them that we are followers of Jesus, and if they want to hear more, then they can come and talk to us. And so we just try to invite them into deeper conversation about knowing God on a more personal level. So 4 years ago, I was volunteering here at the house. It was right after my junior year of high school, and I was out serving coffee and tea, and this French couple came up, and they're like, we hiked this trail like 10 years ago, and we have a picture of this little girl and this little boy serving us coffee at this exact house. And I looked at them and I was like, that was me and my brother. that was us 10 years ago. We would have been here in the summer, and it was a really crazy experience that they have a picture of me and my brother serving coffee, and then I got to meet them 10 years later. It was really, the highlight of this trip so far has been, it was probably last night. We had a band of traditional Galician gayateros play with their bagpipes and their drums and the tambourines, and they came out and played for us in the street, and we all got to dance. We learned some traditional dances, and it was just, we invited the neighbors of the town, and it was a really cool experience. Just celebrating and dancing, and it was really fun. What I would say to teams that are thinking about coming and serving is definitely come. It will be an experience of a lifetime. There's no place that I can think of that you can come and meet people from 50 other countries in a week. They're all, do you need them to stop? Okay. They all come here searching for something, and it's just really special to be able to engage in conversation with them. And yeah, 50 different countries. There's people from all over the world. And just hearing all the languages and communicating with them, and it's just an amazing opportunity to serve and show God's love, and yeah, just be a servant for a week. And they really appreciate it. And yeah, come serve at La Fuente del Peregrino.